Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Tuesday, November 18th. We are here live. It's time for the Power Hour. I see Eric is here. I'm pretty sure Bruce is joining us. We'll get to your calls here in just a little bit. Phone lines are open. Go ahead and join us, 855-950-3835, or hit that call now button on your app. We'll get to your calls here in just a couple minutes. We do have the daily drop. Every day leading up to the holidays, we've got something awesome in the store, and you want it. Today, it's all about bone broth. Good bone broth weather, too. 25% off all Lona Life products, bone broth and collagen. And if you spend $100, you'll get a free mug. So head on over and get some bone broth. 'Tis the season. 25% off for 24 hours only. So head on over to letstruck.com. Get stocked up. Let's get to it. Eric, good morning. Oh, what just happened there? There we go. Bruce is here too. Let me just bring Bruce in. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Kevin.
All right. What's on everybody's mind this morning? Bruce, you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got some old school stuff.
All right.
I've got a couple months ago, we were talking about some KTA series Cummins that had very low hours, and they were on gen sets. And I was talking to the retired Cummins engineer that told me about them. He said, well, I sold them. I said, who'd you sell them to? He said, a guy's building a yacht in Florida, and they're going in his yacht. And I said, well, find out where it is. I want to go see it. And I had a call.
Hey, Bruce, I got to stop you for a second.
Yes.
Your line is breaking up really bad. It's like clipping.
I'll call you on the cell phone.
Okay. We'll get you in a minute.
Call you right back.
All right. Thanks. All right, Eric. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good. Good. We'll, I don't know if we should wait for Bruce to call right back or, there he is. We'll see if this is better. Let me hit the right button. There we go. There we go. Bruce?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. I think it sounds better.
All right. Maybe I was talking too fast. You know, I get pretty excited on this old school stuff. So.
All right. Go ahead. You sound better now.
All right. A couple months ago, I mentioned on the show that there were two K-Series Cummins engines that were on gen sets in very low hours at a very good price. And I spoke to that engineer this morning because I needed some 20 over 6 BTA pistons. And he said, oh, by the way, I sold those two engines. They're in Florida and they're going in a yacht that a man's building. And I said, well, find out where the yacht is. I want to go see it. I want to see the build.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see the K's going in there. And I always thought if I ever had the opportunity to build something like that, that's what I would put in it. Okay. And still on the boat subject, a retired owner-operator from Eastern Pennsylvania. In his mid-60s, bought a sport fish boat that has 653 TIs, 653 Detroits. And believe it, I mean, that takes 6 times 53. That's a cubic inch. That's not a very big engine, and they're squeezing 400 horsepower out of those old two-strokes. So
wait,
he's repowering it with...
Which engine is this?
653. 6-cylinder, 53 cubic inches per cylinder.
Okay. Boy, I know nothing about this engine. 6.
Oh, that's before your time, buddy.
I guess so.
It's before my time.
Yeah.
653s. So that's
So we're talking like 300 and some cubic inches. That is small.
6 times, 300 cubes. Pulling 400 horsepower.
Wow. That's kind of impressive.
I'll bet that's a screaming little engine.
Yeah, it is. Huh.
So he's found 2 CPL 1975s. They're 330 horse, 6 BTA Cummins. He's tearing them apart at home right now, and we're getting him 20 over pistons, 370 injectors. We're going to build him. We're going to help him build. He's going to build himself. We're supplying a lot of the parts to build the Diamond series, what they call the 370 horse, and we'll probably take it up to 400 plus horsepower out of each engine. So that's a neat project. And then he mentioned to me, he said, "Weren't you into Corvettes at one time?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure was." And he said, "Well, I recently bought another project. I bought a 66 Corvette Roadster with the 427 in it in pieces."
Wow.
Body's not even on the frame.
Wow.
So he's got all this going on in his, I think, 2-car garage.
Hold on.
Is that your dog? You there?
Holy cow. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Was that Diesel?
Yeah, I think Lisa went out the back door, and I think Chelsea's out there, and she left him inside, and he goes nuts. Sheesh.
No, I know the feeling. Bentley's so attached. Anyway, I'm buying a golf cart today to ride Bentley around here in Florida, and you have to get an app to change the parameters, and I've already been working on the suspension in their showroom, making it softer so it rides better. And I bought some specialty tools, and I walked into their showroom yesterday, and I'm laying under this golf cart, and I'm adjusting the shock absorbers, and they said, "We've never had anybody." The guy who owns it's 2 years older than me. He says, "I've never had anybody in my shop like you." I said, "Well," I said, "I have to make it so I like it." And it's a hand-built one in South Carolina. It's called Honor, Honor. It's kind of interesting. You call the company, you get right to the owner of the company. The number one cart in this area of Florida is the Evolution, and there are none because they're tied up at the piers because they refuse to pay the tariff.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And so if they're not paying the tariff on golf carts, they're probably not paying the tariff on parts.
Probably not.
And so there's going to be some wide awakening going on here with people with Chinese golf carts. But they sure are pretty, though. Anyway, back to truck stuff. Oh, I just wanted to mention a good friend of mine that's a retired pilot for UPS told me this morning there was 44,000 deer shot in Michigan. I guess their deer season was this past weekend. 44,000. So then Mike, my friend that's on this chat line with us, the Caterpillar engineer, he listed some figures. And because I mentioned in Pennsylvania, 37,000 on average get hit by vehicles every year. So I think we need deer season to be longer. But in Illinois, in 24, 14,436 were hit, 5 fatalities, and 698 people injured hitting deer. So listen to these statistics, how close they are. Because I never really believed in statistics, but boy, this makes you a believer. In 23, 14,862. So it went from 14,436 to 14,862. And 7 fatalities and 663 injured people. In 22, 14,524 hit, 4 fatalities, and 629 people injured. And in 21, 14,522 deer hit. Isn't that incredible? How could it be that close?
That consistent. Yeah, that seems crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
But, this was published by Caterpillar Engineers, so I'm taking it as gospel. And the 37,000 figure came to me from a dentist that his son lived across the street from me in Pennsylvania, and his son-in-law was a civil engineer, and they were deer hunters, and we were talking about deer, and they said 37,000 on average get hit in Pennsylvania alone. So anyway, that's where I am there, and still working with the guy to build the K engine for his father's 1981 Mack Superliner.
Okay. That's a fun project.
Yeah, and that's all I have for right now.
All right. Eric.
And I got to tell you, Kevin, when I get a call, when we did the midnight show,
yes,
years ago, and it would be Friday night, and I had my alarm set for 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night, and usually didn't fall asleep till a half hour before that.
right.
I'd wake up so groggy, not knowing how I was going to get through that hour show, and that very first phone call, the body would just come to energy. Well, when I get these old school trucking calls, it's just incredible what it does to the body. It just brings you to life.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying this. I really enjoy those phone calls.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the gear ratio calls. I get several of those a week.
Good.
So I did have a guy that in his situation, the 264 gears did not work. So we're going back to a 336.
What was the?
And I forget the particulars.
Oh, okay.
I forget the particulars of why it didn't work for him. But that's the very first one since we started this, that the 264 gears just didn't work well for him. And I'm getting a lot of calls to run in direct gear at 70 and 75 mile an hour. So that's taking a whole lot more calculations.
Why are these the older transmissions? Is that the reason they want to run in direct at those kind of speeds? You got to have crazy high rear end gears to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, older trucks.
Yeah, the problem they're going to run into there is the opposite end of the spectrum. The startability is going to be horrible. I mean, you're going to have to get way up there in the gear ratio to do 75 in direct.
You bet.
That's a stretch, and you're not going to have the startability because those old transmissions don't have the low enough gears. I mean, that's Bruce. If you and I go way back, both of us started the gear ratio thing early. Almost nobody understood it. Our biggest problem was that we didn't have the parts we needed. You didn't have the really high gear ratios, and you didn't have a transmission that could handle them. And now we do. And now the other nice thing about these new modern transmissions is that the loss between direct and overdrive is so small now it almost doesn't matter. You really don't have to run these new transmissions in direct to be efficient. And that's a change. And they have the lower gears. But trying to kind of do this with the old equipment, it's not going to work. And if you do go to overdrive, then you're less efficient. Here's the other thing. For a long time, 355s, that was like the standard gear. I mean, just about every truck being sold had 355s. Then we saw some 336s that seemed awful. 308s are the new 355. Almost everything sitting on lots now are 308s, and they just don't work well at all.
That's right.
It's like the dealers are always behind. No matter how much, they fight. Oh no, we're speccing 308s now. Well, yeah, but you're a little late to the game. We should be in the mid twos now. So these 308s just aren't doing well either.
And the Al Hemerson had a truck with 308s, ISX 500, and it did well for him. I'm trying to see if I can find my information on.
You'd have a little better chance with the ISX. That engine will do better at higher RPM. You could probably do okay in the right setup with that. Yeah.
No, it was. Let me see if I can find my cheat sheet on it. It's in my phone, and I'm afraid if I go, I don't want to lose you. So,
right.
I think at 65, he was at 1265 RPM, 65 mile an hour.
Now, again, there's another thing that's changed. 65 is a very reasonable speed to talk about fuel mileage, and it's a lot easier to spec at 65. But we seem to have gotten back to the point where people want to run 75 plus. And that changes everything. First off, you're not going to get great fuel economy up at those speeds. You can get good fuel economy if it's spec'd right, but we're talking about really high gears and a transmission with an efficient overdrive. But trying to take the older trucks and run 75, it's just not working. And it won't. But at 65, that's a whole different game. At 65, that does start to look good.
Yeah.
All right. Eric, what do you got today?
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff, actually. My oldest son shot his first buck.
Oh, nice.
A week ago, 2 weeks Friday. So, yeah, you guys were talking about deer, and I've hit quite a few with my vehicles. So, yeah, I was kind of happy.
Well, you know, the crazy thing, and you know, this was a fight for years. People think it's cruel to hunt animals. The crazy thing, every state that has a very active deer hunting season always ends up with more deer. The more you hunt them, the more they expand in population. And people don't understand why, because basically if you just let them run wild and you don't hunt, you end up with a sicker population and more of them die off in the winter. But when you hunt them and the strong survive, the whole population, and Pennsylvania is the perfect example. Pennsylvania has a very active deer hunting season. You kill a lot of deer, and yet they're everywhere. I mean, it's yeah. I'll tell you the
ticks in our yard.
Yeah, the thing we just experienced when we were in Tennessee. We stayed out for the first couple of days we were there, almost first week, we stayed out in Hendersonville because we were working at NASTIC and we had the CMC out there. Hendersonville's just outside of Nashville. It's not that far away, but you really feel like you're in the country out there. We were in kind of a suburban neighborhood where we rented a house, and the street getting to that house didn't matter what time of day or night, or you had to go 10 miles an hour down that street because the deer were just everywhere. They're in everybody's yard. They're in the street, and it's just all day. It's not, a rare thing to see. They're there all the time.
Yeah, they are rampant around here. And the farm that he shot it on is a friend of his, and I used to coach T-ball to that boy and his little twin sister. We became friends with the parents every year, and they have a really nice farm. So he offered to help me butcher it because I've never butchered a deer. So I did my first butchering job.
Oh, that's fun.
And
yeah,
it was interesting. I got to learn a lot of new stuff, and I thought good things to learn. You know, it's a good thing to plan ahead.
Well, you did it the right way. You had somebody teach you. I think I was 15 when I shot my first deer. And I had no idea what I was doing, and there weren't YouTube videos to watch, so I just started hacking away at it. It worked out okay, but it's more complicated than people think. I ended up with a lot of sausage.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to make a lot of bologna too, but that's what he wanted. Yeah, we have traction and stuff. But last night I was loading wood, and putting it down by my basement to get the wood burner going. And I thought, man, I'm just like almost like Kevin. I'm a
There you
homesteader
go.
now.
That's right.
What's your here?
Burning wood.
Firewood.
That's right. Getting back to the basics.
But the reason why I brought that up is for planning ahead, because you can never be sure. And this relates into the trucking world very, very strongly today. When you're doing repairs, you want to look ahead for the next guy. That was something I was taught when I was very young by my dad and my grandfather. When you are building something, always make sure you keep it good for the next guy, because it may not be you. And you don't want somebody tearing into something like, look at this hack job. What the heck was this guy thinking? You want to plan things out. And where that came from also, too, is I was just meeting with our plumber here this morning. We have a leaky faucet. And whenever they built our first building back in 06, 07, they actually laid cement block on top of a piece of PEX tubing to run the faucet through the block. So now to get to the back of the faucet to change it, I'm now going to have to punch a hole in that cement block wall, which I wasn't real happy about. But
yeah.
Planning. You want to be prepared for all this stuff, and just think about, if it is going to be you working on it next time, spend the extra 10 minutes and use anti-seize, clean things up. Don't put things back together that's half dirty and half, the gasket's still on it. I work on a lot of vehicles on the side. I have a 68 Bronco in my shop now that I'm working on for my cousin. And then I also just towed in a 59 Ford 100 F100 pickup I'm doing for a good buddy of mine who by chance is the plumber. So he sent me a text this morning and said about, it's going to be big money to get in that block wall. I said, well, you wait till you see the bill for your F100. It's going to be a little bit bigger.
I'm almost positive it was a 59. No, it was. It was a 59 Ford. Probably would have been an F100. And it wasn't originally a four-wheel drive, but somebody had put it on some other kind of chassis. I couldn't identify most of the parts. This thing was, it was definitely thrown together. I bought it when I was in high school for like $250 just for the fun of it. Just to take out and trash it in the woods and go four-wheeling with it. And at the time, I was going to a vocational school that was probably 20 some miles away. So I would just drive out to the vocational school. And that thing would barely do 45 miles an hour on the road. It was just screaming at 45 miles an hour. I don't know what gear set they put in that thing, but it was quite the contraption. I had fun with it.
Well, this one's a two-wheel drive, and I helped build the engine, and I'm doing the transmission and the rear end. So it'll definitely go more than 45 when I'm done with it. I guarantee that.
Yeah, this one wouldn't. But boy, it was screaming at 45.
But in the shop this week, we have a couple different things going on here. We have a head gasket on an X15, but it is a local heavy haul truck. This really good customer of ours. This is a tri-drive, heavy duty single cab, and they haul their equipment. They're a bridge building company, so they work it pretty well. And this truck, I think, has 850 on the odometer now, almost 900,000. So it's led a very hard life, and it's very good for what it's done. Have a 13 Freightliner glider in here with a 12.7. It's got a hard starting issue to it. If you hit it in the morning, it'll be good the rest of the day. If it doesn't fire up in the morning, that's when it gives you problems. Well, the guy came in to get checked in, and Brian was checking him in, and he said, where's your truck at? He said, it's out back idling. Well, if it needs to be checked out for a hard start when it's cold out, probably shouldn't have started it. So just a friendly reminder, be careful on those things where if you need us to work on something cold, don't start up in the morning. leave it stay cold.
Good thinking.
So we're going to wait a little bit, try it again later. Then we also have a 2020 Freightliner, and I'm looking for the work where I forget what model it was now. It's a Expediter. It's a box truck. It is a Cascadia, and it's got a DD13 in it. And this gentleman brought it in for a diesel force and DPF cleaning. We're going to do the MD alignment on it. We're going to do the Hawkeye report. Had an exhaust leak. We're setting the overhead. we found an AC line that needed to be replaced, and we're installing an OPS. He's got some oil leaks. We're going to do brake rotors on it. We also had to change one of the batteries in it and then the air filter, and we're going to look at his APU over. It was making a noise, so we're just going to change the oil and filter on it and just make sure that all the tin panels and stuff are all secured. But just a long list of stuff for preventive maintenance. You know, we're coming into that time of year. I think, you know, weather's changing. You want to make sure that you keep up on your maintenance items.
Well, that's going to be like a new truck.
Yeah, it is. It's a really nice truck. It is. And I'm seeing more and more. This is like the going trend. Like when people are buying used, like new to me trucks, does seem to be a longer service appointment than the guys that have owned the trucks for years because they don't know the history of it.
Well,
they want to set a good base.
And I'm also going to say maintenance is not up to snuff. I just sent you guys a picture. I don't know if you saw it in the chat, and I've also got it up on the screen in the live room. We'll come back to that and talk about it in a second. Yeah. One of the things we know for sure, fleets have figured out, and I don't blame them for this model. It makes sense for them. Today's trucks, you could buy a new truck, and fleets do. The first 500,000 miles, you could skip almost all of the preventative maintenance, and it's not going to matter much. The truck will still run. And they have learned that it doesn't make sense for them to do a lot of the preventative maintenance stuff because it won't ever benefit them. They're going to get rid of the truck somewhere between 400,000 and 600,000 miles. And you can skip a lot of stuff, and that truck will be just fine. It's the next owner that's going to pay for it all. And that is a trend, and people should be aware of that. They're not doing the kind of maintenance they used to do. They will push those oil changes out to 75 or 100,000 miles with no samples. We're all about pushing out your oil as long as your oil's still good, but you got to sample it. They don't even bother doing that. They're not changing the transmission and differentials at 500,000 like they should because it doesn't matter to them. They're getting rid of it soon anyway. I saw an oil sample report from a truck with 700 and some thousand miles. Oil samples on, because I was helping somebody buy it. We pulled the samples on the differential and the transmission. Oil was filthy. There was no doubt that that was the original oil, and it did not get changed at 500,000. We're just seeing a lot more of that. Plus, what we're also seeing is what I just sent you. Absolute junk being driven out on the road. This picked all three of those tires are from the same truck, by the way.
Jeez.
That truck went from Mexico to Iowa and was on its way back to Mexico. And the only reason it got caught was a motorist called it in. And Highway Patrol pulled him over. 16 violations. 16 out of service violations.
That's crazy. I mean, these pictures are scary. Like, my wife and kids could be riding next door to this guy down the highway.
So my theme this morning on Coffee with Kevin was I went through the news, and I'm afraid to get on the highways. That trucks like this are becoming far more common. One inspection point, and they were actually looking for illegal drivers. In Indiana, in one, whatever we want to call it, one blitz, they found 143 illegal CDL drivers.
Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rampant. And the Trump administration is trying to do away with it. They passed a bill that says, look, you can't give CDLs to people who are here illegally. And they're revoking these CDLs, except the courts have put a stop to it. They're here illegally.
Why do the courts get to interfere with the president that we elected? Why do the courts get to do that?
Yeah, they certainly do. And they're doing it on this case. Right now, the states are allowed again to issue CDLs to people who aren't even citizens because the court says you can't stop that.
Somebody needs to stop the courts.
So we have people who, one of them was an outright terrorist. He belongs to a terrorist organization. He came into the country illegally. We arrested him, and then the Biden administration let him go. And now he's out driving a truck. He's a terrorist. He doesn't speak English, and they're driving trucks around that look like this. Yeah, I don't want to be on the highways anymore. Bring on the autonomous trucks if this is what we've got.
Unreal.
Are you seeing those pictures, Bruce?
No, I don't. I'm not on that site.
Oh, if you could just open.
What do I do to get on there?
If you could open the Power Hour chat, the text messaging, I put them in there too. You got to see these. I mean, if you're not driving right now and you can go to letstrucktribe.com and go in the chat room, you'll see all three of these tires are off the same truck. Any one of these is horrendous. But to have these three tires on the same truck that also had 13 other out of service violations. You wonder how you even drive a truck like this down the road.
Yeah.
Can you believe that steer tire? I've never even seen a tire fail like that.
No, it almost. I mean, I don't want to say it was cut because the lines are jagged, but
Yeah,
that's crazy.
How do you do that to a tire? I mean, run it flat? I don't know. I don't know what you would do to a tire to make it look like that. But that's a steer tire.
Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. All right. Anything else? Do we have calls? I haven't looked yet.
I have one other thing.
Sure. Go ahead. Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.